Hello and welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our fourth episode here at Brewed Minds with my Ricardo and myself, Esther. Thank you for tuning in. And so today we'll be turning the tables around. I'll be interviewing Ricardo this time around, just so we can get a little bit more of who he is, where he's at today. If some of you don't know, well, he's a aerospace engineering student at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He'll be obtaining his master's degree this June after so many years in school. But yeah, Ricardo, you want to introduce yourself and tell our listeners who you are?
Yeah, so as Esther said, I'm finishing up my master's degree at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in aerospace engineering. And like she said, it's been quite a long journey. I graduated high school in 2010, so I've been around the college scene for a very, very long time. But it was worth it, and made a ton of great friends and learned so much, and I was able to grow into who I am today.
Yeah. So let's start off with a few questions, if you don't mind. So how did you know you wanted to pursue engineering, or more like, let me backtrack it. Sorry. Growing up, did you have a role model, someone that you looked up to, and did you have any sort of guidance from high school jumping into college?
Um, I would say I had more of a role model, and that's definitely my parents. They had a very good work ethic, and I definitely try to take that from them. But as far as like going into college and a role model into learning about like a STEM major, I would say that I didn't have that. I didn't have that in high school either. In high school I didn't even know what I wanted to do, and engineering was something that I heard in The Big Bang Theory, and Wallowitz was the engineer. And like even then, I still I don't know what an engineer does. But out of high school, I wanted to get a welding certificate, and maybe start my own little welding company, welding truck, whatever. And that's what I did. So I went to the community college, ended up getting certified in welding, and part of the certificate is to go through some industrial technology classes. And one of the classes there is a CAD course, which is a computer aided drawing course. And it's really was meant for us to learn how to read blueprints and interpret them. And really, that was the first time I kind of stepped into the engineering world and seeing, parts being designed and developed. And that actually led me to my very first opportunity, which was an internship with Atlas Copco, Moffitt Trench, which is a local turbo machinery manufacturing company in my hometown. And I got that internship because the professor pulled me aside and he says, you do a really great job. He's like, you're here all the time, like, for the whole time session, you don't leave early, you ask questions. And he says, you just have really good work ethic. Again, I can bring that back to being instilled by my parents, where like, yes, I could have left early because I finished all the projects early, but I stuck around and help out students and, ask questions. And so I feel like that was my first step getting into engineering.
So you mentioned Atlas Copco was your first internship there. I know on my first internship, that I have a lot of good memories. Not only because it was my first internship, but like the people I met there. Can you give us like I don't know, do you have like any good memories at your first internship?
Oh yeah, there's so many memories. Actually, that internship turned into a full-time job. So after 6 months of being an intern, I was offered to work full-time for them. And I was actually there for 3 years. And over that time, I was everything from a drafting and designer. And I worked in the machine shop floor. Ended up being a test engineering position where we set up these machines and we tested them. And over that, those 3 years, had so many, really met so many great people, and had a lot of good times. There's the one memory that always stuck out to me is when I transitioned to working in the machine shop floor. there was really slow days where like there was hard stuff, like hard to find something to do. So you'll spend the day sweeping the floors and whatnot. One of the tasks that you had to do was like cleaning parts, because over time a part would sit and it might rust. So you would take the part and start cleaning the rust off of it. And there was one of our coworkers. He was just like in the zone cleaning so much that he ended up falling asleep while standing up. And like I was like partly amazed because I've never seen anyone like stand up and sleep. So like that's a really fun memory. Definitely we all got to take pictures and
Oh,
memes
poor
with him with sleep.
guy.
But yeah, that was a great time. There's definitely the times where you're just like driving around in a forklift and being, like having fun trying to be better than the other people, and little competitions here and there. But a lot of great conversations I had with employees, and really that propelled me into going, like, I need to go into engineering.
Well, that's a funny story, a funny memory. So you mentioned that you worked at Atlas Copco for 3 years. At that time, were you also going to community college full time, or how did you cope with being a full time employee and going to school?
Yeah, well, getting those paychecks as a full-time employee and as a young uh, adult, it was definitely hard to want to leave work and go to school, because like at the time I'm what, like 19, 20 years old, and I'm getting like a full-time pay in a decently paying job. And um but at the same time, in the back of your mind and your family's like telling you should continue school. So I did that. I was working 40 plus hours a week, and I was trying to take a class here and there. And now my mindset was like, oh, I should look into this engineering. And like I said, in high school I didn't have any like practice or background in engineering. The highest math I took was like algebra, like the basic minimums to pass high school. So I just took like an algebra course and whatever minimum other courses you need. So I had to take these higher level math classes and physics classes that I was definitely not used to, and trying to balance a full-time job and go to school full-time wasn't healthy. Definitely failed classes many times, and that's the reason why really um it took me so long to progress at my community college, because I retook physics 1 4 times. I had to appeal for the 4th time because they were like, "Well, you're not passing it." So I was given one more chance to pass the class, or they'd be like, "Yeah, you can't take this anymore at my community college." And that was kind of like the rude awakening, where I had to like decide between, bettering my education or working full time. And it was at the time a tough decision, because I was just, promoted to like a test engineer, which is just setting up machines, running the tests, and then creating reports. And it was tough for me to like, man, this could be a good path, and this is a path that I know several coworkers there, and they're doing well off. But for me, it was better to go back to school and take this chance. And that was probably one of the toughest things I had to do, was getting that paper signed was kind of embarrassing, right? It's like, man, I've taken this class 3 times and I can't pass, and like I have to basically beg to go and continue my education. And from then on, it was like, okay, I gotta get this, gotta get back on the right track.
Yeah, yes, Ricardo. You weren't begging to get to back to that class. It's more like, we all have different lot, obviously, like we're living through different situations, and we go through different challenges and obstacles in our lives. And I want to say that you were put in a position where you were offered, this full-time job and making money, and you kind of lost a little bit of focus. But you know thankfully you tried getting back to the right path, And because of like you um trying to balance both work and a full-time job and school, you know obviously it was going to affect your schooling, but you don't say that that you were begging for to go back to class. But yeah, damn, that's pretty a difficult decision to make, I want to say. um so I guess what I mean, you already answered this question. That made you realize that you had to give up your full time job and go full. Did you go full time as a student after quitting your? You ended up quitting your job, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so I went back to school full time, and at the time, um, it was very challenging to me because I had some money saved up from my 3 years, working, and it's one thing they don't really teach you, especially like we're going back to like mentors and resources. As a first one in my family, and well, um, to go about this route, it was difficult for me to like you have to pay for school, which was a new idea to me. Where before I had a full time job, so it was like like at a community college, it was pretty cheap, so it was easy for me to like work a couple weeks and like, oh, that's enough to pay for the semester. I don't have to worry about it. But now that I've committed to going back to school, I have a finite amount of money, and I have to make sure that I pass all my classes and budget wisely so that I have money to continue. And that as through my first couple years, that money started to dwindle down, and I needed to find sources outside of little part-time jobs here and there. And that's when I met like a really good advisor at my school, my engineering professor. He got me a scholarship. He showed me some, and then I applied. And then with that final scholarship, I was able to make it through the last couple years, and that really helped.
So going full time, I'm assuming you also had to cope with um, doing homework, studying for exams, and all that. Did you do that all on your own, or did you like try to find a group of people to study with? Because I mean, I know I did. And like I want to say you did too. But can you go a little more?
Yeah, that's actually that's a good question, because while I was working and going to school full time, definitely had a different mentality. I was definitely like a solo mentality. Right, I ain't got time to be in school to to do homework or whatever. I gotta I'm working, and then I go to school, and I go home, do my homework, and then repeat day. And now that I was in school full time, there's inherently more free time and to do homework. And I didn't change my mind the first year or so. I was still trying to do stuff alone, and it worked kind of. I was struggling through classes, but I was able to pass. But I one day walked around looking for resources, and I found Mesa, which is math, engineering, science. Um, Forget what the A stands for.
Arts? No.
No, but it's a group that it's a group that has their own study space and their own community. And that was really the first time that I met people in college and called them friends.
It's achievements.
Math, science, math,
No,
engineering,
math.
science, and achievements. Yeah. So that program was amazing for me. That's where I met a lot of my friends, and then the counselors and the people that worked for the Mesa Center. They were amazing in supporting me and, connecting me to other students. So definitely needed that to get through the engineering courses.
That's good. So while you were at community college, did you know what kind of engineering you wanted to pursue, or you just knew you had to take all these classes, but when the time came to apply for colleges, you were just gonna choose whichever, or did you already have something in mind?
I had no idea. I've taken so many classes at my community college. I've probably taken I would say like at least 90% of the STEM classes available. My mind changed from like mechanical to computer science to chemical to biomed to aero. I even have a Cal Poly shirt that says biomedical engineer.
Oh, the sweater.
Yeah, because I thought at one time I wanted to be a biomedical engineer, but things changed and I ended up in aerospace, which also was was ended up working out really well because aerospace was not my first choice. Actually, I wanted to leave the area, and my first choice of school was actually UCSB. Like I said, my engineering professor was made a huge impact on me, and he went to UCSB, and I was like, oh, I want to go to UCSB and pursue mechanical engineering. So that year we applied. I applied. We get the application. We can apply for 5 CSUs, or which are like Cal Poly, San Jose State, San Diego State. And then I didn't get the waiver fee for UCs, so I only applied to 2, to Berkeley and to UCSB. But I will say my GPA was definitely not high enough. I think I think I transferred with like a 2.8 GPA probably. And I didn't want to be local. I kind of wanted to trying to expand my horizons and try different areas. So I was aiming for San Jose State or maybe San Diego State, and I applied everywhere as a mechanical engineer, except for one school. I applied to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo as an aerospace engineer because I didn't want to go there, and I figured this was the one degree that was probably has like high enough standards that they wouldn't let little old me with the 2.8 GPA in. And actually that year it was crazy because that year was one of the rare years where Cal Poly was the last school to give out the announcements if you're in or not. And before that, I was getting declined from every school. So I got a decline from San Jose State, from San Diego State, from Berkeley, and then from UCSB. And then I was like, oh my God, I only have one more choice. And I didn't even know what I would do. I was like, does that mean I have to retake courses to try and bump my GPA, or look for other look for other colleges? Because like I said, there was no more classes for me to take at my junior college. And turns out I got into Cal Poly for aerospace engineering, and it must have been a sign because I have enjoyed my time at Cal Poly as an aerospace student so much that I stayed for my master's. But yeah, the careers opportunities in aerospace are amazing. Right? I didn't really know what it meant to be an aerospace engineer, kind of going into Cal Poly. Definitely not what I thought it would be as I was going through the curriculum. But I'm so happy that this happened to me. I love my career. There's so many paths I can take, and each one is just as exciting as each other path.
Amazing, Ricardo. So, you transferred from community college to university. How, as a transfer student, did you have any challenges going into those junior level classes where all your other peers that were not transfer students had their groups there already, and they already knew each other from freshman year? Did you feel at some point out of place?
That's a good question because I did at first, especially because for Cal Poly Aerospace it's kind of unique and because I went to the junior college that I went to, we had so many of the sophomore level classes that transferred over. I didn't have anything to take my first 2 quarters at Cal Poly because the one class that I needed to continue my aerospace classes was only offered once a year in the spring. So definitely the first 2 quarters I was, just kind of wandering around. I took some random classes, and one of the classes that we did have to take was a introduction to aerospace. And as luck would have it, some of my best friends took or who are also transfers were in that class, and that's really where I met them, who are also like I said, transfer students. And because they were transfer students, it was easier for me to make that connection with them. And but I did definitely see the difference, um, seeing how other groups have already connected because they've taken classes together. But I was able to find my transfer friends, and so I didn't feel too offset. But as we got into the later classes, it definitely felt like transfers versus freshmen. So you can say people that were there since freshman year, and that was only probably towards the beginning of my junior year, which would be my second year at Cal Poly. And as we got to our senior year, our classes are so small that everyone has a connection to each other and we're all comfortable. But yeah, definitely at the beginning it's tough trying to meet new people, especially I'm an older student going there. Right, they all have different values.
Wow. Yeah. I can testify to that too because I was also a transfer student, Ricardo. Um, did what, I guess, what, what did you enjoy being a transfer student at Cal Poly? Did that help you in any way?
It did. It helped me a lot. I felt more confident in classes. Um, because I had work experience, I definitely used that to leverage on to getting into clubs and being able to take leadership roles in those clubs. Coming in with experience really helps you jumpstart any project or any type of club work you're trying to, or that I try to get into. Um, I joined Cal Poly CubeSat or PolySat, and I feel like they were telling me that they don't take too many transfers because a lot of people there have been since their end of the first year or second year, they've been part of the club. But because I had so much experience, it was really easy for me to integrate into CubeSat and working with these cool projects.
Yeah. So, were you involved in other extracurricular activities other than just clubs, or like, because I know there's also sports and stuff like that, just to kind of like help you distress from school, or was joining those clubs a way of?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, I did. I tried to, going into a university, try all these different things, right? All these different clubs and extracurriculars. So I did two. We did a soccer, which was fun. I'm not good at soccer. I didn't play soccer growing up. So that was interesting. And then I also played intramural football or flag football, and that was also fun. We lost every single game. And we went in with some friends, and we were like, okay, we'll just go to the lowest level league, and we'll just go out there to have fun. No, 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 no. Some of these people take it so serious. Like they had plays drawn up, and like I swear they went down a level so that they can win. Like
Oh my
they're really
gosh.
good. But either way, I had a great time with all my friends, and we lost together in fun. So it was super fun. Really enjoyed it, and it was a way just to like get out and get a fresh air because classes do get stressful, and it's nice to make some time for friends and have memories.
What's one good advice that you would give to a incoming transfer student going into like a university?
To not be afraid to join different clubs and think that you're not as smart because you didn't get in as a freshman. I think that's something that people that transfers deal with is, especially if they went to a community college because there could be several reasons why you would go, but if you didn't get into it after high school, you're definitely smart enough. If you made it there, you're smart enough to get through all the classes, and to do the whole college experience and try clubs and make friends and make connections with people because You never know who you'll run into industry. I know last year I did an internship and I ran into 3 people from school. It's aerospace is kind of weird because it's a really small community, so you do end up running into a lot of old cohorts. Um, but just try and make as many connections as you can, and if a connection doesn't work out, by no means try and force to be everyone's friend. That's not what you have to do. But attempting to put yourself out there and work with as many people as you can.
Thank you, Ricardo. I wish someone would have told me that. So what's your plan after you'll be graduating in June with your master's? I know your plans, but our listeners want to know your plans.
Yeah, so I currently have an offer to work for a local company, and it's actually a pretty amazing opportunity for me. Um, Definitely, I'm really considered taking it full time, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But there are some dream companies that I would like to work for. But I'm giving myself, because I have an offer, I'm giving myself another week or so of trying to put out some applications and hear back. And if I don't, then the plan is definitely to stick with this company because they have offered me a really great opportunity. As a new grad, but with good experience, they're entrusting me basically to revamp their whole mechanical group. So I will be creating tools for them. I'll be doing a lot of the analysis, documenting it. As of the moment, I'm the only quote unquote mechanical engineer in the whole company. So I'll be in charge of basically all the mechanical design and analysis and starting to create standards for them. And as I document that, the plan is eventually to hire another one or two as we start to get more work and eventually become mechanical lead, and then they'll be able to follow documentation.
So what about this company that made you want to stick with it or want to give them a chance? What made you think of that?
So I'm working part-time for them, which was great because that's already a sign that they're allowing me to work part-time while I'm still in school under the hours that I want. And the biggest thing actually that kind of clicked on to me was this weekend was I was told to work on this design for it's a specific type of box, you can think of it as. And I was like, yeah, I can take that on and I can come up with some designs and do some analysis. And then I got an email from the owner saying thank you, Ricardo, for taking on this. And that's never happened, and that made me feel warm inside. and I was like, oh, he appreciates me. And
That's awesome.
after I got that email, I was like, you know what, I wouldn't mind working for this company because it seems like they really trust me, especially someone that's a new grad. You find that hard. And I have all these other past experiences, and you don't see that everywhere. You don't see that appreciation for the employees everywhere. And it's, if anything, it's definitely worth sticking for that and learning all these new skills. And by no means is this a bad job. It's just, and it's not aerospace related as much, but it's still within the umbrella of aerospace. So I would still be connected to the industry. And it's something different. It's a challenge because they're mostly an electrical based company, so I feel out of water when they talk because I'm not familiar with electrical systems at all. So when they start talking really in depth about some of these projects, it's kind of over my head and feels overwhelming. But there's a support system there for that I've already felt to encourage me to grow and learn, that I feel really good about this company.
That's great. That's great. I wish to have experienced that too. But I will, hopefully. Well, thank you, Ricardo. I guess one last question. What are you looking forward to in the next few weeks or months?
trip with the boys. We got a camping trip planned at the end of the month. And just being done with coursework, it's definitely taken a toll on me this quarter. Having, 2 math classes. I'm not a fan of math, even though I'm an engineer. Me and math don't get along. Me and physical systems, we get along. But modeling and math has been a challenge. So definitely, get that off my shoulder and kind of breathe again. Then just working on my thesis, because all my coursework is done. I'll just have time to write and finish up my thesis, and I'll be defending it May, June. I should be defending it. That date isn't set, but yeah, it'll just be, relaxing in the month of March. As I finish up, I got a week and a half left, and then we got a trip, and then relax for a couple weeks, and then I'll start full time and focus on finishing my thesis.
Wow, you got this. You're almost done. That's awesome. That's something good to look forward to. Well, again, thank you, Ricardo, for sharing a little bit about your journey of where, the journey from going to college and to where you're at today. And well, thank you everyone for tuning in. And as we continue moving forward with our podcast, we will share a little bit about ourselves, of where we're at and with our careers as well. And I don't know if you have any other comments, Ricardo.
No, just, everyone, thank you again for the support that we're getting. And please continue to listen to us. And we got a lot of exciting things to do, and we'll be building, Brood Minds.
Yes. So stay tuned for our weekly recap. And we definitely look forward to the next few episodes, and starting with our special guest. So keep an eye out for our post. So we're really excited to be interviewing this other person. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. And if you guys have any more, if you guys have any comments or questions or even suggestions on how to go about our podcast, or any topics you guys want us to talk about, please feel free to send us a message to our Instagram. Our handle is Brood Minds. And thank you again for tuning in. We will see you next time.